Best friend won't stop bringing up my long-term ex during every hangout with my fiancée, creating tension and doubts. I'm a 29-year-old guy, and for as long as I can remember, my best friend Jess, also 29, has been a huge part of my life. Jess and I met back in high school. We weren't inseparable then, but when we both chose the same out-of-state college, something clicked. Our friendship deepened and she became like a big sister to me, always nudging me back on track, calling me out when I needed it, and supporting me during my lowest points. Romantically, I haven't had many serious relationships. The most significant before now was Lisa, who I dated for 7 years. Lisa and I met in college and it was one of those all-encompassing, formative relationships. Jess and Lisa hit it off too, becoming close friends over the years. After graduation, Lisa and I drifted apart. My life got consumed by work and my PhD, and my idea of fun was shifting, less about partying, more about building a career and my future. Lisa wanted to enjoy her 20s, travel and have her weekends free. I understood that I was the boring one, and although the breakup was hard, I didn't resent her for moving on. Jess saw me through those long months. She would always tell me, "Lisa loves you, she'll come back one day when you're both ready." I was naive enough to believe that, so I stayed friends with Lisa longer than I should have, holding on to a hope that never made sense. Things changed, though, when I met Yang. After finishing my PhD, I landed a great job at a tech company, and Yang joined our department about a year later. We started as friends, happy hour drinks and dinner here and there, but pretty quickly things became serious. I stopped talking to Lisa once Yang and I started dating. Yang and I are genuinely happy, and the relationship just fits. Fast forward a year, and I proposed to her. We got engaged last year, and I thought all my tangled past would become just that, my past. But that's when things started to get strange with Jess. Right after Yang and I got engaged, Jess blurted out to Yang, totally out of the blue, that I'd planned to propose to Lisa years ago on the same hiking trail. Lisa. That name, suddenly back in the picture at one of the happiest moments of my life. Yang shrugged it off, told me not to let it ruin the moment. She thought Jess only meant that I'd had this plan for years, and didn't mean anything by it. Except it didn't stop there. Every time we hung out with Jess, she'd bring up Lisa. If we bought a house, she'd tell Yang how Lisa and I dreamed of doing that together. If we planned a vacation, she'd recall how Lisa and I almost went there. She never misses an opportunity to remind us how happy Lisa and I used to be, as if it's some gold standard. She brags about Lisa's career, gives updates no one asked for, and spins these nostalgic stories that always end with Yang, the woman I love, hearing about how Lisa was somehow first at everything in my life. I started to wonder what Jess was doing. Was she trying to undermine my relationship? Paint Lisa with a golden glow and remind Yang she'll always be number two? Yang told me she found Jess's comments unsettling, and honestly, so did I. I confronted Jess more than once, asking her to stop bringing up Lisa all the time, especially in front of Yang. Jess gets defensive, insists she'll try, but claims it's unavoidable. After all, Lisa was in my life for 7 years and naturally appears in her stories. Then she asks me why it bothers me so much. Did I maybe still have feelings for Lisa? I couldn't take it anymore. I started pulling away from Jess, spending less time with her, but it wasn't that simple. She's still close to my mom and my sister, and she shows up at every family gathering. When I confided in my family, they said I was overreacting. She's just telling stories, my mom told me. Lisa's part of your past. You should be over it by now. Maybe they're right, maybe I'm being too sensitive. But it gnaws at me, the way Jess keeps Lisa's memory alive, putting her on a pedestal right in front of Yang, right when Yang and I are building our future together. I can't shake the feeling that it's disrespectful. Yang doesn't need to hear endless stories about all the things Lisa and I did, all the things we planned. I'm done living in the shadow of my past. The future I want is with Yang. I just wish Jess could see that, too. Update 1. The last month has been nothing short of total chaos, and I'm still trying to process everything that's happened. After everything building up, I decided it was time to speak with Jess and lay down a boundary. She needed to stop bringing up my ex, Lisa, in conversations, especially around my fiancé, Yang. Jess and Lisa remain friends, but the constant comparisons of Yang to Lisa left me feeling deeply uncomfortable. I broke things off with Lisa 5 years ago. She's a distant memory now, someone from a completely different chapter in my life. When I confronted Jess, she insisted she wasn't at fault. She kept saying I'd been with Lisa for a big chunk of my life, and that it was hard to share stories about my past without including her. She accused me of being emotionally immature by acting as though Lisa never existed, considering we'd spent 7 years together. After a lot of back and forth, Jess finally relented. She promised not to bring up Lisa in front of Yang. In turn, she asked that I not pretend Lisa doesn't exist, since she's still Jess's friend. I made sure to fill Yang in about the conversation. She appreciated that I talked to Jess, but told me I didn't have to do it. She knows how much I love her, and actually, every time Jess brings up Lisa, she ends up just feeling sorry for Lisa for letting me go. Yang left for China 2 weeks ago. She's spending a month there to handle wedding preparations and shopping since we plan to get married in her hometown. With her gone, Jess invited me over for dinner last Friday since I was home alone. I'm also close friends with her husband, so I thought it would be just a relaxing night, all of us chatting and drinking in the living room. But then, around 7:30 p.m., the doorbell rang. Jess sprang up, excited, and when she opened the door, there stood Lisa. She was dressed up, too much so for just a casual dinner, and when she came in, I was totally floored. I hadn't seen Lisa face to face in years, and there she was, making small talk like nothing had ever changed. I was so uncomfortable, I could barely get through a few minutes before I slipped into the kitchen and confronted Jess. I was seething. I demanded to know what Jess was playing at, and she just brushed it off, telling me it had been 5 years since the breakup and I needed to get over it, that we were adults and could have a fun evening together. She claimed Lisa was excited to see me and saw no reason why we couldn't all hang out. We ended up arguing, and I lost my patience. I told Jess how betrayed I felt, reminding her of the promise she'd just made. I let her know, right then, that I was done being her friend. I went back to the living room, made an excuse about a work emergency, and got the hell out. I saw Lisa's face fall, but there was no way I was going to let myself be cornered into that kind of situation without my consent. When I got home, I called Yang immediately. I'd never heard her so furious. She told me she couldn't trust Jess anymore, not after this obvious breach. She felt like Jess had some agenda we didn't know about. Talking about Lisa is one thing, but inviting her over without warning or consent is something else entirely. The next day, I called Jess and told her straight up that she crossed a line. I told her how hurt and upset I was, and after that, I just stopped answering her calls altogether. I ghosted her. To make matters worse, I told my mom and sister about the whole ordeal. This brings me to last Sunday. My mom called and asked me to come over for lunch. I agreed, but when I arrived, Jess was already there. I told my mom I didn't want to talk to Jess and would rather leave, but she stopped me, asking me to sit down. They all wanted to talk. Against my better judgment, I stayed to hear them out. My mom started with how Jess had always had my back, that she only wanted the best for me. She went on about how the three of them, my mom, my sister, and Jess, loved me more than anyone else. Then Jess weighed in, saying I was making a huge mistake by shutting Lisa out. She told me Lisa was my first love, that she was ready to settle down now, and that I should consider picking up where we left off. She reminded me how devastated I was when Lisa and I broke up, saying maybe this was my second chance. My sister chimed in, too, saying how they all preferred Lisa over Yang, how Lisa and I looked so good together, how much they liked her more. That's when my mom brought up our cultural differences with Yang. She said they struggled to relate to Yang, that sometimes they couldn't even understand her, and that they had nothing in common. Then my mom crossed a line that changed everything. She asked me to consider how Lisa and I would have beautiful children together, while if I married Yang, our children would look so different. She pressed on, implying my kids would look Asian. She even said, with small eyes, and not like anyone else in the family. I was stunned. I never imagined my own mother could be so overtly racist. I pointed out that Yang has a PhD and our children would be brilliant, but my mom just brushed that off, as if appearance was everything. That's when she admitted she'd asked Jess to contact Lisa on my behalf, to see if she'd be interested in getting back together with me. Right there, my mom urged me to forgive Jess and encouraged me to consider getting back with Lisa. She insisted that since I loved Lisa so much, I should just go back to her, that it would be easier for everyone. I can't remember the last time I was so angry. I said things I probably shouldn't have before storming out. Now, I'm just crushed. I feel like I've lost my best friend and I don't know how to move forward after what my mom said. My mom and sister are the reason I am who I am today. Yet I can't get over the fact that they have been sheltering these racist attitudes, pretending to accept Yang while quietly working against us all this time. I haven't yet told Yang any of this. I think I'll wait for her to get back next week, and then talk to her face to face. Update 2. As soon as I lost my temper with my mom and sister over what they'd said, I walked out. I ignored all their calls and texts for days on end. At first, the messages were all about their anger, demanding to know why I left before they could get their point across. But by the third day, I could sense a shift. It seemed they realized they'd gone too far this time. Suddenly, their messages turned to apologies, as if trying to patch up the damage. Finally, I messaged them back, directly and firmly. I told them to leave both Yang and me alone, not to contact either of us until we decided to reach out. Throughout all this, Jess was completely silent. She didn't so much as send one message my way. I kept all of this from Yang until she came home 9 days ago. I honestly didn't know how to break it to her. I mulled it over, racked my brain for the right words. But Yang knows me too well. She could tell I was troubled, and she asked about it. I didn't want to hurt her, but I couldn't hide it, so I told her everything. I told her in detail about the stunt Jess pulled, and Yang was furious with Jess. I explained my visit to my mom's place, but Yang didn't get angry. Instead, her first concern was for me. She just asked if I was okay. Over the next few days, I found myself more upset than Yang was. She seemed almost unaffected, buoyed with excitement about her recent trip, eagerly showing me all her photos and recapping stories. Eventually, last Thursday evening, she sat me down and gently asked how I was really feeling about my mom's behavior and what I planned to do about it. I opened up about how hurt I was, how I couldn't forgive them for what they'd said, how they wanted me to marry Lisa simply because she was white, while looking down on Yang for being Asian. Confused, I asked her why it didn't seem to bother her as much as it was eating me up. That's when she told me something I'd never suspected. When she first told her own parents about dating me, they had reacted in much the same way, deeply upset that she was with someone who wasn't Chinese. Her family is extremely traditional. It took them months to warm up and finally accept me. She had never told me any of it because she wanted me to get along with her parents. But now, her parents are the most enthusiastic ones in making arrangements for our wedding. Yang shared that, all along, she'd sensed something wasn't quite right whenever she talked with my mom, my sister, or Jess. Even though my mom and sister were always friendly in front of me, they never invited her anywhere unless I was present. She suspected it was because she wasn't white and didn't fully grasp American traditions. But she was surprisingly unbothered. She told me this whole mess gave her the chance to set things straight. She said she wanted to talk to my mom and sister herself, to reassure them that she would be as loving and devoted a wife as Lisa, or anyone else they could imagine. She insisted she didn't want to break up my family for the sake of starting a new one with me. Despite my protests, Yang went ahead and invited my mom and sister over for lunch that Sunday. I was uneasy, but she spent the whole morning in the kitchen, cooking for them. When they arrived, the tears started almost immediately. My mom apologized, directly to me and to Yang, swearing she'd never bring up those things again. My sister was quiet, eyes brimming with tears. The afternoon turned into a mess of blame. My mom and sister claimed Jess had filled their heads with doubts about Yang, telling them she'd never truly fit in. They told me they confronted Jess after I left, and Jess pushed the blame onto Lisa. According to Jess, Lisa has been depressed for years, and seeing me get engaged to Yang made things worse for her. Jess assumed I was just as heartbroken, given that I hadn't dated anyone for 3 years after Lisa, though the reality was, I'd simply been focused on work and studies. Lisa apparently convinced Jess that she needed to get back together with me, absolutely convinced that's what I wanted too. Jess said she'd gone along with the plan out of pity for her old friend Lisa, thinking it would solve everyone's problems. My mom and sister told me point blank that I should stay away from Jess, since she orchestrated the whole miserable situation. Throughout the whole, tear-filled afternoon, they hugged Yang repeatedly and apologized to her. Yang broke down too, crying and promising she'd try even harder to fit in. It was all just an overwhelming, emotional mess. I can't say I fully trust my mom's change of heart yet. It still doesn't sit right, even if I do want Yang to be happy. My mom has since invited us over for lunch at her place next week and promised Jess won't be there. Jess still hasn't reached out to either of us. With everything that's happened, I know healing and true trust will take a very long time. Update 3. I thought the worst was behind us after that tearful lunch with my mom and sister. Yang seemed genuinely happy that my family was trying to make amends, and I was cautiously optimistic that we could move forward. But I should have known better. Drama has a way of finding you when you least expect it. Last Tuesday, Yang got a text from an unknown number while we were having dinner. She frowned at her phone, then showed it to me. The message was short: "We need to talk. It's about your fiancé. Meet me at Café Luna tomorrow at 2 p.m. Come alone." My blood ran cold. Lisa. I told Yang to ignore it, that it was probably just another one of Lisa's attempts to stir up trouble. But Yang surprised me. She said she wanted to go. She was curious about what Lisa could possibly have to say that she couldn't say in front of me. "I'm not afraid of her," Yang said, with that determined look she gets when she's made up her mind. Maybe it's time I heard her side of the story. I begged her not to go. I had a terrible feeling about it. But Yang was insistent. She promised she'd text me every 30 minutes and leave immediately if Lisa said anything inappropriate. Wednesday afternoon felt like the longest day of my life. Yang's first text came at 2:15 p.m. "She's here. Looks nervous. We'll update soon." Then nothing for almost an hour. When my phone finally buzzed at 3:10 p.m., my hands were shaking as I read it. OMG. Need to talk when I get home. This is insane. When Yang walked through our door that evening, she looked like she'd seen a ghost. She sat me down on the couch and took my hands in hers. "Lisa's pregnant," she said quietly. "And she claims it's yours." I felt the room spin. "That's impossible. I haven't seen her in years, let alone," she said it happened 3 months ago. "She has photos on her phone of you two together at some hotel bar." My mind raced. 3 months ago. Yang had been traveling for work that week, visiting clients on the East Coast. I'd gone out for drinks with some college buddies who were in town, but I'd never seen Lisa. I told Yang this, but she looked troubled. She showed me the pictures. "It really looked like you, sitting close together, laughing." She said you'd been texting her secretly for months. I grabbed my phone immediately, scrolling through my messages. "Look, there's nothing here. No text to Lisa, nothing." Yang nodded slowly. "She said you'd been using a different number. A burner phone." She paused, watching my face carefully. "She also knew things, personal things. Like how you've been stressed about the mortgage approval, and how you bought me that necklace for our anniversary but returned it because you thought I wouldn't like it." That hit me like a punch to the gut. Those were things I'd only discussed with my mom and sister during our recent conversations. My stomach dropped as I realized what might have happened. "My family," I whispered. "They've been feeding her information." Yang's expression darkened. That's what I'm afraid of. Lisa said she's 3 months along, and she wants you to take a paternity test. She's threatening to show up at our wedding if you don't. I felt sick, even though I knew it was impossible. I hadn't touched Lisa, hadn't even been in the same room as her except for that awful dinner at Jess's. The whole situation felt like a nightmare I couldn't wake up from. She's lying, I said firmly. This is all some elaborate scheme. But Yang looked uncertain. She seemed so convincing. She was crying, saying she never meant for it to happen, that she was drunk and missed you so much. She begged me not to hate her. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about how Lisa could have gotten those photos, those personal details. The next morning, I called my mom. Did you tell Lisa about our mortgage? I asked without preamble. There was a long silence. Honey, did you or did you not tell Lisa personal things about my life? She was so upset, my mom said weakly. She just wanted to know how you were doing. I thought it was harmless. I hung up on her. Then I called my sister, who broke down immediately and confessed everything. After our confrontation, they'd stayed in touch with Lisa. They'd been updating her on my life, convincing themselves they were helping a friend who was concerned about me. Lisa had been playing the long game, gathering information, waiting for the right moment to strike. But the photos still bothered me. I spent hours trying to figure out how she could have faked them, until Yang suggested something that made my blood freeze. What if they're not fake? What if someone who looks like you was there with her? That's when it hit me. My cousin Jake. We'd always looked eerily similar, people confused us all the time growing up. He lived across the country now, but what if Lisa had somehow convinced him to help her? Or what if she'd found someone else who resembled me? I was about to start investigating when Yang's phone rang. It was Lisa again. I'll take the call, Yang said, putting it on speaker. Yang, I'm sorry about yesterday. Lisa's voice was shaky. I know this is hard to believe, but I have proof. I'm sending you a video right now. Yang's phone buzzed with an incoming message. We both stared at the screen as a video began to play. It showed a hotel room, clearly recorded on a phone. And there, clear as day, was someone who looked exactly like me, kissing Lisa. But as I watched in horror, I noticed something. The man in the video was wearing a watch I'd never owned, and he had a small scar on his hand that wasn't there on mine. It's not me, I told Yang, showing her my unmarked hand. Look at the watch, the scar. This is someone else. Yang studied the video carefully, then looked at me with a mixture of relief and anger. She really went all out, didn't she? The question now was, how far was Lisa willing to go to destroy our relationship? And who was helping her? As if reading my thoughts, Yang's phone buzzed again. This time it was a text from Jess. Meet me at the park by your house. I have something you need to know about Lisa. She's not who you think she is. Yang and I looked at each other. After everything Jess had put us through, could we trust her now? But with our wedding just 2 months away and Lisa's threats hanging over our heads, we didn't have much choice. Let's go, Yang said grimly. It's time to end this once and for all. Update 4. Yang and I drove to the park in complete silence, both of us lost in our own thoughts. I kept replaying that video in my head, trying to figure out who could possibly look so much like me. The whole situation felt like something out of a thriller movie, except this was my actual life falling apart. We found Jess sitting on a bench near the playground, nervously checking her phone. When she saw us approaching, she stood up quickly, her face pale and drawn. She looked like she hadn't slept in days. Thank you for coming, she said quietly, avoiding eye contact with me. I know you have every right to hate me, but you need to hear this. Yang crossed her arms. Talk. Jess took a shaky breath. Lisa isn't pregnant. She never was. The whole thing is a lie designed to break you two up before the wedding. She looked directly at me for the first time. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry for what I've done. I felt a mix of relief and rage. How do you know this? Because I helped her plan it, Jess whispered, tears starting to fall. God, I can't believe I'm saying this out loud. Lisa came to me 6 months ago, completely obsessed with the idea that you two belong together. She'd been stalking your social media, driving by your house, following Yang to work. She was unhinged. Yang stepped closer. And you thought helping her was a good idea? She threatened to hurt herself if I didn't help, Jess said desperately. She said she'd been planning to end things if she couldn't have you back. I thought if I could just ease you two apart gradually, make you remember how good things were with Lisa, maybe you'd realize you were making a mistake. By constantly bringing her up? By that ambush dinner? I was struggling to keep my voice down. That was supposed to be casual, just to show you that you could be friends again. But when you stormed out, Lisa completely lost it. She said if I didn't help her with something bigger, she'd make sure everyone knew I was the reason she killed herself. My blood ran cold. So you helped her fake a pregnancy? Jess nodded miserably. The man in the video is her cousin Marcus. They found him on some ancestry website. Apparently your families are distantly related, which is why he looks so much like you. Lisa paid him $5,000 to pretend to be you for one night. Yang grabbed my hand. This is insane. You could have just told us she was threatening you. I tried to back out so many times, Jess said, sobbing now. But she had recordings of our conversations where I agreed to help her. She said she'd ruin my marriage, my career, everything. She even threatened to tell my husband that I was still in love with you. That stopped me cold. What? Jess looked away. I never told you, but I had feelings for you in college. Before you met Lisa, I got over it years ago, but Lisa somehow figured it out. She said she'd twist it, make it seem like I'd been sabotaging your relationships out of jealousy. Yang and I exchanged glances. Everything was starting to make a horrible kind of sense. There's more, Jess continued. Lisa's been dating someone else this whole time. A guy named Trevor who works at her company. She's been using him to practice her manipulation tactics. She told me she convinced him to break up with his longtime girlfriend by pretending she was pregnant with his baby too. I felt sick. How many people has she done this to? I don't know. But Trevor found out about her plan with you and he's furious. He's the one who convinced me to tell you the truth. He said he couldn't watch her destroy another relationship the way she destroyed his. Yang pulled out her phone. We're calling the police. This is harassment, stalking, extortion. Wait, Jess said quickly. There's something else. Lisa has a backup plan. If the pregnancy thing doesn't work, she's planning to show up at your wedding an object during the ceremony. She has this whole speech prepared about how you're the love of her life and she can't let you make this mistake. I ran my hands through my hair. This is insane. How did I ever date someone this crazy? She wasn't like this in college, Jess said quietly. Something broke in her after you two split up. She's been in therapy, but she's been lying to her therapist too, painting herself as the victim of a tragic lost love. Yang was already typing on her phone. I'm changing our wedding venue and date. We're not giving her the chance to ruin our day. Actually, Jess said hesitantly, Trevor had another idea. What if we set a trap for her? Make her think her plan is working, get her to confess everything on recording? I stared at her. After everything you've done, you want us to trust you with another scheme? I know I don't deserve it, she said. But Trevor and I have been talking. He has recordings of Lisa admitting to her fake pregnancy plan. If we can get more evidence, you can get a restraining order and maybe even press charges. Yang looked thoughtful. What did you have in mind? Trevor's going to tell Lisa that you're having doubts about the wedding. He'll suggest she confront you one more time, but we'll be recording everything. Once she admits to the lies, we turn it all over to the police. I was torn. Part of me wanted to just run away with Yang and elope somewhere Lisa couldn't find us. But another part of me was tired of running, tired of looking over my shoulder. If we do this, I said finally, it ends here. No more games, no more manipulation. And Jess, after this is over, I never want to see you again. Jess nodded, tears streaming down her face. I understand. I just want to make this right. Yang squeezed my hand. Let's do it. I'm tired of her controlling our lives. As we walked back to our car, I couldn't shake the feeling that we were walking into another trap. But maybe it was time to face Lisa head on and end this nightmare once and for all. Trevor was supposed to call Lisa tonight and set everything in motion. In 48 hours, this would all be over, one way or another. I just hoped we weren't making the biggest mistake of our lives.